Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Pokémon Legends Z-A is fun. In today's show, I want to explain my experiences and my thoughts on the game, having played just a few hours, but there are no buts or caveats here. The game is fun. I am enjoying the experience, and I am looking forward to playing it more. So, the game was designed to run on the Switch 1, and it runs very well on the Switch 1. There were choices in terms of design and implementation that had to be made in order to make sure that the game runs smoothly, and I am impressed. The developers here have done an excellent job. I want to explain my perspective here mostly as a gamer and as a professional, and for a technical perspective, I will save that for a show another day. So I am an adult, I have very little free time, I develop games for a living, and I only play games from developers who I can tell and I can see are better than me, that would do a better job than me. If I see a game where the developers did a worse job than what I could do, I will not waste my time playing that game. And I will play Legends Z-A because these developers have done an excellent job. I respect what Game Freak has accomplished with Legends Z-A. It is an immense, gargantuan improvement over Scarlet and Violet. I will discuss what I like about this game, Legends Z-A. I will discuss what it was like playing the game for the first few hours. So firstly, to Game Freak, congratulations on a job well done. Thank you for creating something fun for people to enjoy. I can tell you did your best here. Secondly, to address the topic of people complaining about the windows in this game and saying negative things about the game, if you hate Windows so much, get a Mac. If you play Pokemon for highly detailed windows, then this is not the game series for you. This is a monster taming series, not a window watching series. Now, at first I thought the buildings would bother me because they do look quite plain, but the way that we were viewing this topic was from trailers. We were not interacting with the game. We were simply watching, and in the trailers, it does look a bit bad that the buildings are flat pieces of geometry, and I thought it would bother me, but immediately, as soon as I started playing the game, I found that there was so much to pay attention to, so much to care about. I ended up not looking at the windows at all, and they don't even register with me. They don't bother me at all after I'm actually engaging with the game. It's totally different watching something and not engaging with it, and it's something else to engage with the game and actually play it because you are not paying attention to the windows, you're paying attention to the game itself. These windows exist only in your peripheral vision, and they set the stage sufficiently. The game uses a combination of normal maps and specular maps to convey a sense of shape, texture, and form to the buildings, and it is enough. It is sufficient. From a technical standpoint, the buildings, the windows, they achieve exactly what they should. They convey something. They convey the idea that there are buildings here, and that is enough. The game runs fantastic on the Switch. That's all there is to say about it. It works, and it works great. So, it's actually personally quite shocking to me that the game looks and runs fantastic on the Switch, the original Switch, and that is largely in part due to the buildings being simple geometry. It was a technical limitation, they found a solution, and it worked. I respect the design choices Game Freak has made that allow the game to run so well. And as I analyze this game as a developer, I see design choices that indicate to me the game was made by developers who have a significantly stronger understanding of creating a game in a 3D space, far more than Scarlet and Violet, far more than Sword and Shield, far more than any other Pokemon game in 3D. This is the one where developers really understood what they were doing, and they did an excellent job executing this. So this is a situation, because people are going to say, oh, you're stuck in a city. It's just one city, it's a small environment. This is a situation that is so utterly unique that it's fascinating to me. It's a situation where it was a terrible idea with excellent execution. Again, I think this game is a terrible idea with excellent execution. As a longtime Pokemon fan, I don't want to be stuck in one city, but the execution of the game is so good that the fact that the idea is terrible, the idea of being stuck in one city is terrible, the execution is so good that it more than makes up for it. So that is something that I didn't think I would ever see. The implementation and the technical execution of this game result in a product that does not have the immersion-breaking problems of Scarlet and Violet. I hugely enjoy Scarlet and Violet. There are technical issues there, even though it's running on Switch 2 now with updates. There are immersion-breaking issues. The way that the game was executed, the technical implementation of it, there are problems. But this game does not. Legends Z-A does a significantly better job of maintaining immersion. Realism does not make a game look good. People may think it does. It's a trick. Realism does not make a game look good. Fidelity does not make a game look good. It doesn't matter if you have 2K, 4K, 8K, 69K, I do not care. Fidelity does not make a game look good. If you are a small child and don't know that much, then sure, you might think, oh, tons of pixels make something better. You'll grow up and you'll understand more in the future when you're older. Understanding of visual expression, understanding of games as an interactive medium, and competent execution of artistic expression are what make a game look good. And Legends Z-A has this. Legends Z-A exhibits an understanding of visual expression, an understanding of games as an interactive medium, and competent execution of artistic expression. This game looks good. I don't have any ifs, ands, or buts about it. The game had to run well on the original Switch. It runs excellent, and just looking at it when you are experiencing the game, when you are playing it, it is coherent, it is cohesive, it is visually very nice to look at. I feel that they've done an excellent job here. I will perform a technical analysis another time. This game is fun. I will explain my experiences with the game. I will put on screen my own gameplay now. I'm recording this on a capture card that is not particularly good, so the footage may look a little choppy, but that's because of the capture card. The game itself runs fantastic. This is coming from the Switch 2, though I will create some shows where I compare and analyze the Switch and the Switch 2 version and explain the differences as has been requested of me. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the game now. So this game is fun, and the excellent music really has a large part to do with that. This is possibly the best music in the series. Something about Scarlet and Violet's soundtrack sounded very disjointed to me. It felt like a bunch of different people were making the soundtracks. It doesn't feel like there was a clear vision. I did not actually enjoy the soundtrack of Scarlet and Violet that much. It felt disjointed, and there was a lack of cohesiveness when it came to the soundtrack. This game, however, Legends Z-A, I believe this is the best soundtrack. It all feels so lively and expressive. It feels like there are live performances here. I would like to learn more about what went into the creation of the soundtrack, because it is fantastic. It uses leitmotifs from previous games in the series that you will recognize if you're a longtime fan. And it's fun to listen to. It keeps the energy high. It sets the mood. The music does a fantastic job. The game is very pleasant to look at, especially in the indoor areas. They are particularly strong. I highly doubt these are the same people that worked on Scarlet and Violet, or they have really leveled up their skills, or they've brought in more people who are specialists in creating scenes in 3D spaces, because this is significantly, it's just more expressive than Scarlet and Violet. It's more interesting to look at. It's more organic looking. There's a stronger understanding of how to use lighting, texture, and color, tonal dynamic, variety in textures. It's just fantastic. They've done an excellent job here, and the technical implementation, it doesn't leave anything to be desired. So they've done a great job. There's variation in verticality in the environments. It allows the game to look better, and it makes exploration more interesting. I actually am personally having fun just looking at the building tops, and I'm thinking, how do I get over there? Oh, I think maybe I can go this way, and you plan out routes, and it's so interesting. And in a way, it almost has the same kind of feeling of exploration that Breath of the Wild has, except it's on buildings instead of mountains. And I find myself, I'm surprised that I'm having this much fun just exploring it and climbing on buildings. There's enough variety in the architecture, shapes, and colors to look interesting. Not every building is this flat apartment-looking situation. There are varied buildings, and it's so interesting to look at. There are certain scenes that are just pretty neat. As you run around the city, you are constantly looking for items to pick up. Sometimes wild Pokemon wander the streets, even though It seems like you shouldn't be able to catch Pokemon. Sometimes you'll see a Pokemon wandering around, not in a wild area, and you can catch it, and that's very fun. It's good to have surprises like that. The wild zones serve as the game's outdoor areas, so to speak. They are small, but they're very interesting to look at and explore. And there was one wild area very early on that caught my attention. It is a cemetery, and we haven't seen things like that in Pokemon in a very long time. This game has a bit of an edge to it, and it feels a bit like the older games in that it's not afraid to have some bite. It's not afraid to have some edge. There are characters here who are quite mean. They're quite pushy and aggressive, and that makes it interesting. The latest Pokemon games have not been interesting to me because it constantly treats the player like a little child, and the game is constantly patting you on the head and saying, "You're a good little boy, good for you." It's very condescending for adults to play that, and I have been turned off from the recent Pokemon games because of that attitude. But Legends Z-A does not have that problem. It has a bite. It has an edge to it that the original games have, and I find that very engaging. The battles are exciting. You could be trying to weaken one Pokemon to try and catch it, and then another Pokemon that's stronger will just join in. It'll just come in out of nowhere, it'll butt in, and it will ruin your day. Then you have two or more Pokemon ganging up on you, and your whole team could get KO'd. It's exciting, it's interesting, it's a fun challenge. This is not something that we see in the mainline games, so I'm very interested in exploring this more because there is a challenge to it. I am starting to get steamrolled by multiple enemies, so I need to find a different way to engage, and I need to be more careful. This is fun. It is mechanically fun. The way that you mechanically engage is interesting. Now, developers who care about their craft, who want to elevate their craft, need to consider three specific things. The three ways in which players engage with the game, the end product. And those three ways are, how does the player engage mechanically? How do they engage intellectually? And how do they engage emotionally? I feel like those are things that have been considered in this situation. How a player engages emotionally is very difficult to implement and consider, especially if you aren't a very experienced developer, but I feel that they've done an excellent job here. Mechanically, they've put in an immense amount of effort and time considering how players engage with this environment mechanically, because they understand it's a weak point being stuck in one city. But it's interesting constantly finding items, and you're interacting with things in the environment. The NPCs have interesting things to say, and that brings me to my next point. The story and the character dialogue are interesting, especially from the NPCs, and this has not been true for Pokemon in a very long time. Here, NPCs say things that reveal more about the world that you were exploring. You learn about the people that inhabit the world. You feel like you're talking to people who are just living their lives, and you're bumping into them. There's a major problem with Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, and that is all dialogue is basically useless filler fluff, and it adds nothing to the lore and immersion. I did not finish Sword and Shield, and I have tried for years to try and finish it, but again, I said I don't waste time with games that are made by developers who do a worse job than what I would do. And Sword and Shield, there's so much to be so disappointed with when I view that as a developer. They did not do the best job that they could. And something that really disappoints me with Sword and Shield is that I did not see a single line of interesting dialogue in that game. Every single NPC would say something insipid and inane, like, "I love Pokemon. Pokemon are the best. You're a good boy, you're the best trainer in the world." Every single dialogue in Sword and Shield is insulting to me as a writer because it was so weak. It was incompetently written. And in this game, I'm having a hard time running past NPCs because they say interesting things. And of course you're going to have NPCs that say things like, "Pokemon are great." You'll have NPCs that'll give you logical tips, like use type weaknesses to have an advantage. But the vast majority of dialogue that I've seen, there are characters that talk about their lives. They say something about their day, and it gives you insight into the world, and that is what the core functionality of an NPC should be. It increases immersion, it gives you insight into the lore and the world, and I'm finding the NPC dialogue, there is a darkness to some of what these characters say. There's an edge, and that is something that I really enjoy from the older games. you saw less and less of it as the series went on. The dialogue in Alola was a little weak, but it was Sword and Shield that really lost me. But this game is fascinating. The characters are saying things that are interesting. These characters feel like, the NPCs feel like they have their own lives, they have their own wants and desires, and they are doing their own things. And it has been so long since Pokemon has had this, so I am so glad. That is a large factor towards why I'm enjoying this game so much. Also, the NPCs tend to give you items, and they are items that are useful. I feel like I'm being rewarded for exploring and talking to characters, so I'm really enjoying just running around talking to characters. And in Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, I didn't talk to any NPCs, because for hours I would talk to them, I would see not a single interesting line of dialogue, and the NPCs were not giving me items. Going into houses in Sword and Shield, I wasn't getting any items, you know? And in this game, in Legends Z-A, it is the exact opposite. I feel like I'm constantly being rewarded for exploring, for looking around. I feel like I'm being rewarded not just in seeing interesting lines of dialogue that give me further insight into the world, but NPCs are giving me items that are genuinely useful. A random lady gave me a Quick Claw, you know, and it's been a long time since Pokemon has done that, and I'm very glad to see that design philosophy return here. I'm personally having a problem. I don't want to continue the story because I just want to keep exploring and catching Pokemon. The game is fun, and that's all there is to it. Seeing familiar Pokemon sometimes is quite disappointing for me because I want to catch new ones, but because this game has such a different battle system and it's exciting and interesting to engage with the battle system, I'm now looking forward to seeing familiar Pokemon because I want to engage with those Pokemon using the battle system, which is exciting. The main street areas are densely populated with NPCs to talk to. Those are interesting, and there are eerie, empty, quiet back alleyways. And while it may seem like, yes, okay, the developers can only spend so much time populating this environment, there is something interesting about it. It's creepy that the back alleyways are empty, and it adds actually an interesting dynamic to it, because it makes you not want to be there. And I don't know if that is what the developers intended, but it adds a subtle tonal contrast to this environment where the main streets are so populated and there's people saying interesting things, and then the back alleyways are feeling deserted. It's interesting and creepy, and I quite like that feeling, and I'm not sure if they intended that, but the world does feel lived in. Sure, the NPCs are standing around, some of them are standing still, but it's implemented in a way where within the context of the work itself, it makes sense once you adjust to the game itself and its style of presentation. It starts to feel more immersive, and it doesn't feel jarring because the characters generally say quite interesting things, and it's small little details of, you know, a character might be sitting and drinking a cafe, you know, and ooh, I'm so French, I said cafe instead of coffee. And you might, at a distance, if you're watching a trailer, you would say, oh, that looks lifeless and plain. But as you approach that character, they look at you and they say something, and sometimes it's something with a bit of edge and bite to it, and it's just interesting. And the game itself justifies its presentation style in the content of its story and lore, and it's interesting. There is a Pokeball guy that will return any balls that you have thrown and missed, and you can choose when you evolve a Pokemon. When it's ready to evolve, you will see an alert in the menu, and you can choose to evolve it whenever you like. You can access your Pokemon box at any time to adjust your party, which is a great design choice because your team can get absolutely wrecked at any time. Like I said, multiple Pokemon can gang up on you. It's a fun challenge, and it feels like you're just being rewarded for exploring and spending time playing the game. That's how I feel about Pokémon Legends Z-A. I feel the developers have done an excellent job. I look forward to playing this game more. I hope that you are enjoying the game, and if you don't like it, if you have anything negative to say about it, you certainly are allowed to do that. You're allowed to like the game, you're allowed to dislike the game. Don't let anyone tell you how to feel. Thanks very much for spending some time with me. Have some fun out there. Take care. If you'd like to see some funny videos, I will put them on the screen now. Be well. Do your best.